Hello and welcome to a special edition of Pacific Horseplayers on the HHH Racing Podcast. I am your host, Noah Meagher, joined by our good friend Jackson Muniz as he is back this week. And down below us, Mr. Ryan Anderson, who is always here, so we can always count on him for his skirting and his nonsense like that. Glad you could join us. Tonight, we kick off Belmont Stakes Festival with the card that they have on Wednesday, and that is New-York-BRED Showcase Day. We're going to be previewing that card for you guys. That card has actually been out for a while, and it is in 2 days. So if you guys have opinions and you're joining the show, make sure you use that live chat. You can find that on YouTube. You got that on X as well if you're watching from there. So go ahead and do that. Give us your opinions, and we'll throw them up on the screen here. Let's go ahead and get through the peripherals. Of course, you can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor. We've got video and audio platforms. I'm going to go through this real quick. We have the regular power picks. I think we've got at least 850 total picks. I need to update that for next week, but still going strong. You can go purchase those at this website right here, hhhracingpodcast.com, and find out more information about this great podcast. And then I want to throw up this banner because they're not necessarily new, but if you are part of Team HHH, we do have special power picks this week only for the Belmont Stakes Festival. So we've got it's going to be similar to our Kentucky Derby. So if you are part of that, you're going to get some info and some insight from a bunch of the group. I think everyone's going to be contributing on that. But make sure you pay attention to that because I know there are going to be some more details about that. And then the last thing I wanted to go over, you can see our normal schedule on the bottom of the screen. We've got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. But let me tell you guys a little bit about what we've got on tap for this week. So, of course, we've got the show tonight, Monday night. We're filming this at 5 p.m. Pacific. Tomorrow night, Benton and Boozin is going to be covering the Friday stakes at Saratoga. And then Wednesday night, I believe that will be at 4:30 Pacific, 7:30 Eastern. You've got Picks and Ponies doing the Belmont Stakes Day late pick 5 on Saturday. And then make sure you hit that subscribe and notification bell because I think we're going to have either 2 or 3 tape shows, and you're not going to want to miss those. So go ahead and check those out. But I think that takes care of everything. We're going to check in with Jackson first because, once again, he is from the car. But at this point in time, it just seems like we've got to be pretty fortunate that he's here at this point.
Well, yeah, after last week, I had missed, unfortunately. I was working, and all I heard from Noah for like 6 days straight was, why weren't you here? Why weren't you there? I mean, this is all he was complaining about. I was trying to have a conversation. And like, who do you like in the 5th race at Santa Anita? He's like, why weren't you there on Tuesday? I've made it a priority to be here this week. Is it ideal? No, but we're here. We're going to talk about some great races, and I'm ready for it.
Yeah, Ryan, I know you're going to be heading up there pretty soon, but I know you're going to be back in town for the ABR Saturday show, but just a lot of great racing that's going to be on tap.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I'm going out to Saratoga tomorrow morning, and I come back Friday night. So I'm missing the actual Belmont Stakes Day, but I'll be there for all the festivities. So we'll enjoy the time without a doubt. But no, I'm looking forward to it. Great racing on tap. And Wednesday, New York Showcase Day, always a good card.
Yeah, great card to kick things off for the week. Let's go ahead and see who was in the chat. Katie was here. It says 2:49 p.m., so it looks like she's kind of stepped her game back up, and she's here extra early today. Very excited for the Belmont Stakes. We've got Bob Sakura leaving tomorrow. We'll be at Saratoga for 5 days. I'm very jealous of that, my friend. So, Bob, thank you for joining the show, and good luck to you. Terry Frank is here, who I believe just secured his second NHC seat as Jackson throws up the peace sign. Congratulations, Terry. We're all very proud of you. Tanner Hawkins is here. I'll throw up his comment in the chat. He says, what's good? Can't wait for this week of racing. Jim Pillars is also here. Hello, all. We've got the boss, Howard Kravitz. He says, hello, all. Thanks for joining us. One hell of a week for shows. Looking forward to it. Tape shows coming starting on Tuesday night. So, yeah, just reiterating what I said. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you get caught up with everything that we've got going on this week. So I think that takes care of it. I think we can go ahead and get into the handicapping. Again, I am struggling with just one monitor, so please give me a break just at least a little bit. I'll try to get the Echo Base up on the screen first, as we always do. Let me see if that is up and it is up there now. We're starting off with race 6. Wednesday, they've got 7 stakes. If you do count the jumper stakes, which is the first race on the card on Wednesday.
The one is a lock. The one in the first
One's
race, the jumper race, the lone speed, baby. He's gonna win.
Comment. Let's get some opinions on the first race of the festival. Throw that in the comments there. But if we throw that in there, they've got 7 races that are stakes races. We're going to be talking about 4 of them. There are 4 of them in the late pick 5. So we're going to be going through the late pick 5 for you guys. It starts with race 6, 3:26 Eastern. It's the Bowery Stakes. I believe I said that right. $200,000 purse, 7 furlongs on the main track, 4 straight 3-year-old fillies, field of 8, and we do have numbers in the program and morning lines. And the morning line favorite goes to the 7 K Cup, Irad Ortiz, Jose Abreu. Let's see who we are going with to get things kicked off. I'm chalking out, but these guys are trying to beat the favorite. I'm going 7-5-6. Ryan's going 5-8-7, and Jackson is going 8-5-2. You guys both have smirks on your faces, which I'm curious as to why. Ryan, we're going to go to you. You're going with the outside runner, the 8 Charlotte's Heart, who I believe is coming in from Woodbine for Dylan Davis and Mark Cassie at a nice 8-1.
Yeah, close. I'm going with the 5 on top. Jackson's going with the 8.
You're right.
8 on top. I have the 8 in second.
All right, well, let's go to Jackson. Jackson, what do you have to say about this runner?
First of all, I'm smirking because Noah finally gets a big boy job in this industry, and all of a sudden he can't pick anything but favorites. It's crazy. It's chalk after chalk after chalk. So that's why I was laughing, because he's doing it again. I do like the 8 horse in this race. Charlotte's Heart for Mark Cassie. First time on the dirt, but going through her pedigree, she's a half the Casa Corrido, obviously with the turf horse, but he also broke his maiden in the summer at Saratoga over the dirt. Another sibling in stakes place over the dirt. She should handle it. I watched her most recent workout at Saratoga. She went 47-1, was not asked a drop. Ears were pricked the whole time. She looked great. I don't think the surface is what's going to get her beat. It's more of a matter of, is she good enough to beat this field? And we're going to find out in this spot, because her last couple races have been okay. I mean, the prep race it didn't seem like a prep. It just kind of ran around there. Race fell didn't really go in her favor. And they went straight to the dirt workouts, get her prepared for this race. I do think she might fit in here, and she's going to get a pretty good trip, just stalking on the outside, probably a couple lengths off of it, and we'll see if she's good enough. I do think the price is going to be right, and I kind of wanted a fresher face in this race, and the favorites who didn't do a whole lot for me.
Yeah, let's see who we've got some top 3s in the chat, so I'll bring those up. Katie's going 2-4-5. Terry's also a fan of the 2, who I think Jackson's the only one that's gotten the top 3, but a little bit of bias towards the 2 there. But again, please throw your opinions in the chat. Jackson back to the 8. I'll actually let Ryan touch on, because I just wasn't as big of a fan of her as maybe you two are. But I guess if she takes to the dirt, Ryan, she can definitely get things done in here.
Yeah, if she takes to the dirt, she drew really well. She's just going to sit a nice outside stalking trip. So don't have to be too worried about getting any crazy kickback. I don't think. And yeah, I mean, the price and the values there at 8-1, I think you should get around there, maybe a couple ticks lower, just because that Dylan Davis, Mark Cassie, I would imagine Dave Portnoy's probably going to put a hefty amount of money on this one to win, just to continue that trend from last year at Saratoga. But either way, I think you're still going to get above 5-1 on this runner, and that's fair value for a horse that's certainly bred really well, being the half to Casa Creed, like Jackson mentioned. And yeah, I mean, takes to the dirt, we should be all right.
Yeah, and it looks like Howard likes this horse as well, so maybe I do need to do a little bit more research, but you guys all like the 8 in some capacity. Let's go to the 7. I'm going to talk about the 7 real quick. There's not really too much to add or to say anything that's really creative. But K-Cup finished behind the 6 Valtellina in her debut, was off for a while from August to April, came back really nicely with an 83 buyer. And, that race was kind of proven to not be a fluke, as you can see the 107 time form, which doesn't lay over the field, but it's certainly the best number in here. And just kind of looks like if she improves off of that, got a really nice post. Irad just can kind of let the other speed go, and she can just kind of sit off the flank. And I thought the race that she came out of was good. Third place finisher came back and won. So I think that race was legit, and I think she can step up her game against the likes of some state-bred stake company. Let's go to some others. Ryan, I'm going to throw it back to you with the horse that's actually your top pick, and that's the number 5 Accelerating. Yeah,
this one debuted at Saratoga last year and won on debut, and pretty convincing fashion for Steve Asmussen. Came right back in the Seeking the Ante Stakes and won there. And then, had a bit of time off until March of this year. Had a couple runs at Oaklawn that leave a little bit to be desired. But, that was versus Oakland Company in a stakes race and then right back in a high-priced optional claiming event. Gets back in against state breds here, gets to a track where she is 2 for 2, where she started her career, and her 2-year-old numbers fit with anybody in here. So I want to give her a shot. You're getting a decent 5-1 on the morning line. Asmussen, Kaleem Shah, Jose, they're no stranger to the winner's circle at Saratoga. So I want to take this one on top, and 5 and the 8 are two solid A's for me in this sequence.
I think the decision you have to make when you're looking at her carefully is whether the Open Company got her or whether she's just not been able to carry over her 2-year-old form. Jackson, you obviously think that it is the former, because you've also got her in second.
Yeah, I have her in second because she kind of scares me a little bit. I don't know what to make of her last 2 starts. I mean, the 1-2 back, you can make an excuse. She had trouble. It was legit trouble and kind of checked out of there. But the last time I thought she got the trip she really wanted in there, which was kind of bad. So maybe you're kind of just hoping she does make the front end here. Maybe she just need the lead type. Maybe she's just a Saratoga horse for course. So I do think she's pretty clearly the fastest horse early, and I think, hopefully for her sake, that's kind of going to be the difference in this spot. She gets to the front end, she's all alone, and she can take this field a long way.
Yeah, if she does get the lead, I think she's going to have a big shot in here. Let's go to some others. We're going to go back to you, Jackson, because there is some love for this horse in the chat, and that's the 2 Bernie and the Rose. 3-1 on the line, which was maybe a little short for me. You kind of know what she is at this point. But talk about a win machine. 4 for 5. Her only loss was a third, and that goes back to her maiden breaker. So just one that knows how to get her picture taken.
Yeah, she's done absolutely nothing wrong. 1-4 in a row, makes her own trip. She can win the lead or just off of it. Not the greatest post for what's all the speed to her outside. And at 3-1, I think, her figures are not overwhelming against this group. I mean, she's probably the 3rd or 4th fastest horse just based on figures in this field. That's why I have her in 3rd at 3-1. If she was like 5 or 6-1, she'd be a top pick, but obviously that's not going to be the case. So I'm going to leave her more underneath and maybe use her as like a backup in horizontals.
Yeah, I think you're spot on with that. A little price dependent, depending on what she goes off compost time. One more horse that we will touch on is a horse that I've gone 3rd. That's the 6 Valtellina, who I just mentioned previously. 9-2 on the line. Ray Handel is an excellent trainer. She's also rattled off back-to-back victories. And the one last time, based off of numbers, fits just as good as anyone in this group. She's beat non-winners of 2 last time, and that was over in the mud. I was just a little concerned. I thought she kind of started to put it together when she stretched out to a mile. Now they cut her back to, I believe this is 6.5 today or 7. I can't remember, but I think it's a little short for my liking. So I think she's going to come with a run. Just with the nature of the amount of speed that's already in this race, I think she might find herself a little further back than maybe she was in those 2-mile victories. So I think she's gonna come with a run late, but I don't know if it's going to be enough to get up in time, maybe for a 2nd or 3rd. So we'll move on to the next race. I'm going 7-5-6. Ryan's going 5-8-7, and Jack's going 8-5-2. Ryan, you got something to say?
Yeah, Chris Alone, I think is the name in the chat. He brought up a good point. Engelhart and Abreu horses could very well scratch earlier in the year. They're all under quarantine right now at the barn up in Saratoga for some sort of sickness outbreak. I forgot exactly what it was, but they're all under quarantine, so there's definitely a real possibility that they would scratch. I believe Howard said at least earlier in the week, and then we'll see kind of how things progress from there. But that's also something to be aware of.
Yeah, no, thank you for throwing that in the chat, Chris. We will definitely try and mention that as much as possible if we try and find some more Abreu or Engelhart horses going forward. Let's go ahead and move on to the next race. I'll get that up that's not what I wanted to do. Give me 1 second here. Let me get the Equibase back up on the screen. And there we go. Race 7 is the next race we're talking about. It's the Kingston Stakes, another $200,000 purse. This one's going 1 mile and a 16th on the turf, and I believe this is the outer turf course, the Mellon, correct, Ryan? Mm-hmm. This is the Mellon turf, which is at 18 feet, and you're also going to see later in the car when we talk about a race on the inner turf that is also at 18 feet. So number 18, keep that in mind when you are handicapping these races. But in terms of this field, we've got a field of 10, and then we've got 2 also eligibles who are MTOs. The 11 Shadow Dragon and the 12 Antonio of Venice, but they're not going to get in the field as I check the weather, and it looks 80 and sunny for Wednesday. So no concerns there. We've got a field of 10 in the body of the field, so let's see who we are going with. I'm going 4-1-9. Ryan's going 9-5-3, and Jackson is going 5-4-9. Ryan, I'll actually throw it to you this time because you've got the morning line favorite, Hush of a Storm, Pratt and Cox, who likes to come from way out of it, but it seems like there could be some speed to set it up for him.
Yeah, I think there's enough pace in here, and I got to state the obvious. Obviously, this horse is going to be lower than 2-1. I think would be fair. I think 6-5 looks pretty likely with just the connections and Pratt, and then this horse does have some of the stronger numbers. But I ended up on this horse strictly because, again, has a run over the course that resulted in a win, has closed well into slow paces, has done well closing into fast paces, and just gets some substantial class relief here back in against state breds, which I think is where he does his best running. Obviously, he's a 7-year-old now, but he's still throwing out consistent numbers. Those time form figures last out and then 2 back in the Kentucky Cup Classic. Certainly fit. I know they didn't necessarily result in wins, but you get Flavien Pratt reuniting aboard Hush of a Storm. And you kind of mentioned it. It looks like there's going to be enough pace here. So I'd imagine Pratt just kind of tucks in maybe 4 lengths off the lead, and that should be plenty. Rail at 18 feet typically plays pretty fair at Saratoga. When they take them down later on, it obviously favors speed a lot more, but I think Hush of a Storm is going to sit a decent trip. I project him to save enough ground just with not having a whole lot of early speed. So I tried to beat this favorite, ended up not being able to do so, and Hush of a Storm looks like a clear winner to me.
Jackson, it looks like you've also got some reservations, as do I. The question that I have for you is he one where you would maybe upgrade a little more if you see that speed's not typically holding earlier on in the races on Wednesday?
Probably not. I don't think I'm gonna put that into consideration too much. I just don't know how good he is, to be honest. Like, I don't think he's a crazy standout in this race, and I don't know if he's gonna be 6-5, but he could easily be sub 2-1. So I think this is a horse you're probably supposed to be, especially in horizontals. It's Cox, it's Pratt on the closer in a race. We're supposed to get a setup. He's gonna be on every single ticket. So I think you're supposed to try to beat this horse.
Yeah, and you're trying to beat him with the number 5. And that number 5 is Clear Conscience, 10-1 on the line. Jose Ortiz, Mark Cassie, a first and a second in 2 starts at Saratoga, and second off the layoff, just losing to Be of Courage last time. You're hoping for a much improved effort second off the bench.
Yeah, I thought he ran really well last time. And that was a race, a lot of horses coming out of that same race, and it was like a group of 4 that was contesting the pace. He was the only one that kind of went on with it. Be of Courage came from off of it and got him late, but I thought the horse ran really well in that spot. And I really don't have an argument against either of those 2. I think I took them both in my top 2. They both ran well. And I wanted to upgrade him just because he was much closer to pace. He was probably going to be closer to them, and this spot's going to get the jump. And Cassie isn't really known, he can win off the bench, but he said multiple times, like, he kind of just, if they win, great, but they're really second time out is when he wants to get them going again. So I think we could see another improved effort in this spot. And you mentioned he likes Saratoga, so I think 10-1 is. I really clearly think he's the value of this group at 10-1, and I'm going to use him on top.
Yeah, I think you make a good point with Cassie kind of raced him into shape, and I agree with you to the point where I thought that was a pretty live race as I'm going with the 4, Be of Courage, who ended up being the winner of that race. I want to show the replay, and maybe this can allude to Jackson's point a little bit. I want to bring it to a point where they kind of start to hit the far turn. Let me get that a little closer here. So let me stop it right here. The number 3 is Be of Courage, who I like. And then the number 5, Clear Conscience, who was down the inside, tips out. Kind of gets the little first run here. And then I thought Be of Courage with just a big stride here. And was able to run him down in the late stages, and maybe got a little tired here. Couldn't quite put him away maybe in the last 40 or 50 yards, but I thought that was worth bringing up. But I wanted to mention that because that was his first start off of a year layoff. Look at the race 2 back. That race had no pace, and he was closing even though he got DQ'd. And he's one that likes to come from out of it, but I don't think he necessarily needs to be way out of it. I think Hush of a Storm will be back there, and Be of Courage can kind of get the jump. So second off the bench, I'm hoping he's another one similar to Jackson's point on the 5, where he can step up his game and maybe put things together. And I think just with a little more of unfamiliar connections, you got Ruben Silvera, who's New York based now, John Pregman Jr., who I'm really not familiar with, but obviously he's done a great job with this horse, who just ran career best off of a year layoff, and it just seems like he's going to improve. So I'm going to go with him, hoping to get some value. Maybe I'll get around that 5 to 6 to 1. Let's go back to you, Ryan. We talked about the 5. We talked about the 9. And I'm going to throw it back to you to talk about the 3, who Howard just mentioned is one of 2 Adelphi runners. The number 3, Better Lucky Than Good. And then I'll go ahead and scroll down the number 8, Gem Mint 10, who is dear to my heart. I love that guy. 12 to 1 on him. But you're going with the number 3, Better Lucky Than Good. For the Clement Barn, Dylan Davis aboard, who's been off for the winter and comes back hoping to be fresh for a victory here.
Yeah, that's really the one question I have is how is he going to come back to start his 5-year-old campaign? But, just going off of how the Clement Barn has done historically, they do pretty well bringing him back off a layoff in a stake spot like this. That typically means that they're sitting on go, that they're ready to fire. And Dylan Davis is going to sit a really good trip with this horse. Obviously, he's going to have a lot to do turning for home. He's going to have to outkick probably most of these, as this one could be just kind of dead last around there. But does have a really nice closing kick. So I'm hoping Gem Mint 10 helps kind of set the pace along with some others and set it up for a horse like the 3 if the 9, Hush of a Storm, can't get it done. A lot of these runners, though, the reason I have the 9 as such a strong A is just a lot of them have to answer the off Lasix question, if not for the first time, if for the first time in a while. And I think that is significant when you have a horse that's kind of proven off Lasix. But I did like the number 3, Better Lucky Than Good, to kind of spring that upside, along with the 5, Clear Conscience. I think they're both very capable.
No, I think that's a good point, and I think it's something that a lot of people pay attention to, especially with younger horses, but also can be a factor with older horses too. You can see, I mean, he's just been in N2X level for a while, was able to pass that condition last time, which I thought was a really good race. I just don't know if he's could have come back to that off of the layoff, which is maybe the reservation that I have. But if he does, I don't really doubt the talent. I mean, the 89 buyer and the 112 time form are kind of right there if you think Hush of Storm is vulnerable. So I like the pick there. I'm going to go to the 1. It's All Coming Together, who is the inside runner. I want to throw up this comment because I know Howard's got his top 3 going in the chat for all the races that we talk about. He's going 194, so he likes his horse on top. And I like this horse a little bit too. Came off of the bench from November to March, and it just looked like on paper that race just screamed prep. Serp doesn't really run a lot of horses in South Florida at Gulfstream Park, and he was kind of wide the whole time. He lost to Sherlock's Jewel, who came back and won a pretty nice race. Yeah, only a couple weeks ago, $100,000 allowance at Belmont at Aqueduct. So he's just he kind of seems like he's another classy type, and with some speed. I know the 2 is quick, stretching out and trying the turf for the first time. There's some other speed, as we mentioned, with Gem Mint 10. I think he's going to get kind of the pocket trip and maybe get the first run on some others. So I wanted to include him. But I think that's everyone that we need to talk about in this race. It doesn't seem like anyone else mentioned anything in the chat, so we can go ahead and move on. But I'm going 419. Ryan's going 953, and Jackson's going 549. We're going to go ahead and move on to the middle leg. Let's see if I can get that up on the screen for you guys. And there it is, race 8. It is the Critical Eye Stakes, another $200,000 purse, 1 mile and an 1/8 for the girls. We've got 4-, 5-, and 6-year-old girls, and I want to bring this up real quick. I need to mention this. We already do have a defection out of this race, and that is the number 6 Landed for Velasquez and Ward. So it just seems like the 8 Sterling Silver is going to be an even heavier favorite, as she was originally even money on the line. Seems like that could certainly go down. So let's see if we are trying to beat her or not. And we are not. I'm going 893. Ryan's going 823, and Jackson's going 894. Jackson, I'll throw it to you. You don't really have to touch on her too long because she's kind of moto obvious in this spot. And just a really, really nice 6-year-old mare for the Mott Barn.
Yep, super cool horse. Shows up every single time. She's supposed to win this race. She's the fastest horse by a comfortable margin. She's coming out of open company graded stakes races where she's been more than holding her own, and she's supposed to get the setup in this spot too. I guess you could say the distance can get her beat, but arguably her best race last year came out 1 mile and 1/8. Maybe her fastest number. So there's just very few holes you can poke in her form. I don't really have any interest in trying to beat her in this spot.
Yeah, Ryan, obviously you're thinking the same. If there's someone that you're trying to bet for second, maybe I'll throw that question to you. Who's one that you are interested in?
Yeah, I'd go to the 2, Amanda's Folly in second. Sterling Silver, most likely winner in the sequence by a pretty healthy amount, I would say. So I'll play a straight exacta vertically. Obviously, I'll single that one in the horizontals. But I thought Amanda's Foley for Jose and Linda Rice had a shot. Couple good efforts going the mile and an eighth last winner. Is going to come in here fresh. Enjoys the Saratoga track. 3 in the exacta from 4 tries, including a couple of wins going back to last summer. So I thought this one deserved a shot. Should just sit kind of a comfortable kind of mid-pack trip. Not a super strong opinion, but I thought 10-1 was good enough value. Everyone's price is probably going to come down a little bit, but I thought a straight 8-2 exacta wouldn't be the worst thing.
Yeah, I think if you're trying to find a horse for second, you kind of have to ask yourself the question whether you want someone that's going to be in front of Sterling Silver or whether you want someone that's going to be coming from the back and maybe pick up some pieces late. Jackson, you're going with the in front method because you've got the 9 Bernie Takes Charge in second, who's furthest to the outside, and looks like she's probably the speed of the speed in here.
Yeah, and I don't even know if I would use her in exact, to be honest, but I do think she's the only other horse I can threaten the 8 because she has really just that one monster race that came up from absolutely nowhere in the Heavenly Prize and got a 97 buyer, 120 time for him. It's pretty rock solid number there. Obviously, she didn't come back to replicate it at all. She was terrible in that spot. But if she gets loose in here, I guess she can probably do it again, and that's kind of what you're banking on for this horse. But again, like if she's gonna get way over bet in exactly because she is the lone speed, and I don't know if you really want to trust her to reproduce that effort from 2 back.
Yeah, little all or nothing type there. As you can kind of see, that is indicative of her last 2 efforts, a 97 followed by a 19. So kind of get all or nothing with her. And the last horse that actually I do want to mention this horse because she looks like Howard thinks might be the only threat to Sterling Silver. He's got her in second. Jackson, you've got her in third. If I'm playing this race, I kind of want to try to beat her because I think her last race was a little fluky and she was down on the inside. And I think the inside's been pretty good as of recent, at least up in New York. And the second place finisher was inside too. But what do you think of her chances to maybe strike that upset?
If Sterling Silver shows up, she is not beating that horse at all. I don't see how that can possibly happen with her best effort. But this would be my exacta horse, and it's not creative at all. This is the second choice. But I think she's the one you can rely on to come out with a good effort, and the stretch out the 9 furlong should probably be okay for her too. So this would be the one I would use in exacta, but I wouldn't use her in horizontals or anything with her on top.
Yeah, one that you're not going to get a ton of value, but if you like her for second, I mean, just punch that 8-4 multiple times and you can get something decent. Ryan, last horse we'll touch on is Call Her Bluff, who ran second to Snap and Buttons, who's a 7, who we are not going to be talking about. But I'm kind of with you. I think she's going to fire a big effort because she kind of loomed up on in the mud last time. Couldn't quite get to a lone leader, but she's got some decent races where she's come from out of it. And I just kind of feel like Pratt's going to move her up in here. And if I'm playing, exactas or tries, I think she's going to get pretty dismissed. So I'm going to use her, as are you.
Yeah, that was pretty much the only reason is Flavian Pratt. And second time in the barn for Ilkay Cantermachi, who's been moving his horses up really well. He's had a really strong winter meet at Aqueduct and then transferred that to Belmont at the Big A. And obviously now we're on to Saratoga, but I think Pratt moves this one up. I think the slight concern is she does some of her best running on a wet track, so she's not going to get that on Wednesday. But that being said, I still think Pratt can move her up a ton. I think 15-1 is more than fair on a horse with some dirtied up form as of late. And hey, if all she has to do is run second, because I think everybody's running behind Sterling Silver here.
Yeah, we can go ahead and move on. I'm going 8-9-3. Ryan's going 8-2-3, and Jackson's going 8-9-4. Let's go ahead and move on to the next race as I can try to do this as quickly as possible. There it is, race 9. It is the Mount Vernon Stakes. This one is on the inner turf, and as you can see, as I mentioned earlier, this rail is also at 18 feet. This is a mile and a 16th on the inner turf, and another $200,000 purse as I scroll down, and you can see the entire field. We've got a field of 10, and the morning line favoritism goes to the inside in the 1 Silver Skillet, 5-year-old mare for Rosario and the Clement barn, and then the second choice all the way to the outside, What Love Looks Like, another older mare for Irad Ortiz and Todd Pletcher. Let's get our picks up on the screen. I'm going 5-2-10. Ryan's going 5-2-7, and Jackson is going 1-2-5. Jackson's the one that's chalking out in here. as I chuckle a little bit. He's going with the favorite, Silver Skillet, who's second off of the bench for the Clermont barn. Jackson.
Yeah, a little interesting. We all have the 2 in second. I'm curious to see what you guys have to say about that one. I thought about this race. There's a serious lack of speed in here, and that's probably why everyone has a 2. That's also why I'm using the 1, because she's probably the only other speed horse in here, and this is just such a strange horse. Rosario gives us one of the most interesting rides of all time. I mean, this horse has been Rosario'd over and over and over again. But on her best effort, she is right there. In her last 2 races, I can make very easy excuses for. The 1-2 back on the dirt she was wide on the day of the most extreme inside bias you will ever see in the history of horse racing. So just toss that one right out. She had absolutely no chance that day. And then last time, it just looked so preppy to me. I mean, they didn't even try to get her the front. They just parked her 3 wide the whole way around. Came with a run. She did just did what she was supposed to do. Just got a race into her. And I think she'll be really ready for this race. She's got the inside post. Like, he's got to be aggressive with her. With this lack of speed in here, where she does her best running from, he has to be up there. I don't think he needs the front, but just sit the pocket. Follow the 2, follow her right out of there, because her best effort puts her right there against this group. And it's not super creative at the 1, but I do think she is very clearly the most likely winner, in my opinion.
Ryan, I don't know what you've got to say about her. Frankly, I don't get it. I don't know. I mean, she, with being as respectful as possible, the 2 races where she put up back-to-back 91, she beat absolute trash in an off-the-turf race, 6-horse field, and another 4-horse field. And then she comes back against better competition. She loses as the even money favorite. She loses again as the favorite. They try to go to the front end with her 3 back. Doesn't work. They try dirt. Completely doesn't work. And then last time I get the prep and 3 wide and whatever, but she just, I don't know. I mean, the best horse in that race by far is Do-Gooder, who's a mid-80s horse and just has gotten soft leads in bad races at Gulfstream. So I don't know. Maybe some of that is your thinking, Ryan. Obviously, you've got her out of the picture, but I just find several reasons to try to beat her.
Yeah, I couldn't be more against the top 2 betting choices in here. Silver Skillet, I'm with you. I don't get it. Has had a couple good wins going wire to wire. I just think that time is either behind her or Rosario has completely lost he's lost the whole purpose of how to ride this horse.
This horse has gotten the worst rides I've ever seen.
Yes, but why is Wednesday supposed to be any better? Rosario's back aboard, and like he does the most mind-boggling things sometimes. The September 26th race, I have no idea how that horse was 7th early. I remember watching that race. I think I singled Silver Skillet that day because looked like absolute lone speed. And they went 51 and 116, and somehow Silver Skillet is out the back of that entire field. And that was the day I crossed this horse off of any chance that I would ever use her if Joelle's on the saddle. So yeah, I don't get this horse. Sure, she can win, but not going to be on my tickets.
Yeah, and Paul McGinnis actually brings up a good point. I didn't actually realize, but makes sense. 2 for 8 wins, where she was either the favorite or near the favorite. So one that's not super reliable, which I think you can maybe make another case against her. But obviously Jackson feels differently, so we'll go ahead and move on to some other horses. Ryan, let's go ahead and go to the winner. Let's go to the winner. Number 5, Awesome Check, Ricardo Santana, Horacio De Paz. And I want to bring up a replay of the last race real quick, but I want to hear what you have to say about this 4-year-old first, because obviously you've got her on top as well.
Yeah, this since being on the turf, this filly is 3 for 3 in state bred company. Gets right back versus those state bred foes today. It just always sits such a good trip. She never really finds herself in trouble. Santana and De Paz teamed up and had a really successful Saratoga last summer, and I expect that to continue here as we go to the Belmont festivities at Saratoga. That last race looked very beneficial towards her. I know she was chasing a bit of a fast pace that came back to her, but next on stage, who I believe is trained by Wesley Ward, stayed on to hold on for third. Ray Handel now. And De Paz.
The winner was Wesley Ward.
Thank you. I knew there was a Ward horse in there somewhere. All right. Either way, Awesome Check. This is a horse that obviously loves Saratoga, as she's 2 for 2 over that racetrack. The last race was semi-live. I mean, you see the last place winner came out to win, but I don't think Annihilate was on the right. Just didn't really have anything go her way. But either way, the number 5, Awesome Check. Yeah, that's your winner. Just going to sit the right tactical trip. Whether Silver Skillet sends or not, I just think she's going to sit that perfect pocket, get the jump on everybody else, and she loves Saratoga.
Yeah, you mentioned that at the very end. She does like Saratoga. I believe she's 2 for 2 off the top of my head. But I wanted to bring up this replay because I think this is a big part to why I do like her a lot on Wednesday. So you can see in the replay, she's the 3 here. And then the winner is the 4, the Wesley Warren horse we were talking about. Just watch the replay as Ricardo Santana actually decides to go outside of the 10, which totally leaves a hole for the 4, and the 4 gets the jump. Santana's got to lose all this ground, and then she's trying to rally. She kind of has to shift ground there, switches leads there, and then she starts running on. The 4 got the jump, like I said, but she's running on, and that was first off of the bench. So, I think in some of these races, there was an instance when we were talking about a race last week. I know Jackson wasn't there, but Ryan, when I was talking about Cloudy Women, and I thought the trip was a little worse than maybe the comments indicated, which I think kind of reiterates the point that we talk about. I think watching these races and these replays are just super important. And just going back to the points that I said, second off of the bench, Horacio de Paz had enough confidence to throw this horse in the Virginia Oaks way back in September at Colonial. I mean, she was 6-1 in that spot against Style Points and Deep Satin. I mean, those were some pretty good 3-year-old fillies at the time. And then she ran a 3rd in a race in October. The 2nd place finisher, Venencia, is a stakes winner. 3 back at Aqueduct in November. She got absolutely no pace as the second quarter went 25-2. You can toss the dirt race that was at the end, and then they give her the Windsor off. I just think there's a lot of things to like with a number 5 Awesome Check. And Jackson's got this kind of suspicious smirk on his face. I'm not quite sure what to do with that, but I like her a lot. So with that point being said, let's go ahead and move on to some other horses. And Jackson, you brought up the point that we've all got the 2 in second, Spinning Colors, who looks to be on the lead. I'd be very surprised if she wasn't. But is it just a bit of a speed thing? Do you think she's good enough to take this field the whole way, or just maybe just good enough to maybe hang on for a piece?
She could potentially wire this field. They got to send her though. I mean, if they try to rate this horse and slow it down, she's gonna get outkicked. She is not quick home.
Hey, Johnny B can do it.
Yeah, I mean, you got to just open up this field and hope for the best. There's not much speed in here. That's your best chance. She's gonna be in front. I guarantee you that. My biggest concern with her, she's just a little too slow for my liking, just on figures. I wish she was a tiny bit faster. And it's not like she has a ton of room for improvement necessarily in this spot. But I do think if they let her roll out there, she can be dangerous in there and take this fit a long way.
Other than lone speed, Ryan, I do like the fact that she has fired pretty big off of some layoffs. She was off from September to July and came back and won with an 81. She was off from August to November, came back with an 82 in a second. So that was kind of the reason why I thought maybe she could fire big on the front end. But obviously, maybe she'll take a little money. But just other than the fact that she's lone speed, I maybe there are some holes to poke in her, I guess.
Definitely some holes to poke. Jackson brought up the main one is that we kind of know what she is at this point. She's kind of that low 80 buyer's horse. She's a 5-year-old now. Yes, she fires well off the layoff. She could get loose on the front end, but I still think there's some in here with just stronger kicks coming down the lane. I don't know if she can hold them off. She would really need to get away with Murder on the front end in order to do that. And, it should be noted, coming from Gulfstream Park up to Saratoga, that is a pretty stark difference in turf courses. I know she's handled it before with a couple of wins, but could still be a little more demanding of a task coming up here. So, yeah, Spinning Colors I think makes sense underneath. 8-1 is decent value for a horse that is going to be in front as they turn for home. It's just going to be a matter of coming down the stretch. Can she hold the rest of it off?
Yeah, and I'm going to keep it with you for the last horse that we're going to talk about.
The other concern about that too is the LASIK, the no LASIK thing. She's been her races without LASIK are kind of rough, to be honest. That was the other concern I had. But I
agree. Good point.
I do think she'll be in front.
Agreed.
Yeah, seems a little price dependent, but one that's not going to be price dependent is this horse here, Bobby M's Girl, 20-1 on the line. Ryan, you've got her third, second off of the bench for Dave Duggan, who we know is very capable to win some of these state bred races.
No doubt. Don't discount Dave Duggan on a weekday. That's where him and Dave Donk do some of their best running. So I never want to discount any of them. On top of that, you get a top rider in Jose Ortiz. Dave Duggan has really, really strong second off the layoff numbers. I think that last out effort was just to kind of get a run into her with a spot like this in mind. As you can see, they took that one off the turf. Pratt was able to get the job done that day. I think we were actually live on the Saturday show, and Frank Scattoni picked this horse Jackson, and got up in the shadow of the wire. Needless to say, when a horse wins off the bench for a trainer that doesn't typically win first off the bench, that's something I like to see. So a horse that can kind of go against the trend of a stable. Again, going to need a bit of a setup here, but it's sat pretty close in the past over the Saratoga turf course and going this distance with some fast paces ahead of her. So I want to give her a shot. Second off the bench. Obviously, the price is there. One that I think could figure into the exotics and maybe even spring an upset. I
like it. 20-1. I think you're going to get every bit of that. And I don't see why she can't improve off of the bench, or second time off the bench, excuse me. So like the pick. One more horse I wanted to mention before we move on to the next race is a 10, What Love Looks Like. I know you guys don't really love her, but I just, I like her a little bit. She kind of gets back to a little more of a reasonable distance. She's been doing those marathon distances, and she cuts back today. I think that will be of her advantage because I think she might be a little bit better now that she's, earlier in her career, she was very forward and she had success doing that. But I think maybe with the cutback and with her being 6 years old now, I think maybe she's just not necessarily as quick, and why Pletcher, stretched her out to maybe get her on the front end in some of those longer races. But I want to give her one more chance to see if she can handle things with the target. Obviously, she likes it here at Saratoga. It's just a question of, whether she's going to be the right price. So I wanted to mention her because she is a second choice on the line, but I think we're kind of all in agreement that we don't, necessarily love her. And I think it's a good race, good betting race. Favorites are definitely vulnerable. Jackson doesn't quite think so, but Ryan and I do. But we'll move on to the last race. I'm going 5-2-10. Ryan's going 5-2-7, and Jackson is going 1-2-5. Try and talk about the last race a little bit quicker here. Let me go ahead and get this up on the screen. There we go. Last race is the only the only non-stakes race that is in the late pick 5 sequence. It is a maiden special weight, of course, for New-York-BREDS, $90,000 purse. Amount of 16th on the inner turf, melon turf for this one, melon turf for the finale rail, again at 18 feet. Body of field is 12, 4 also eligible, so 13, 14, 15, and 16. And the morning line favorite goes to the 4 Coach Case for Dylan Davis and Miguel Clement. Let's get our picks up for the finale. I'm going 1-5-4. Ryan's going 2-1-10, and Jackson is going 1-9-10. So Ryan, you are the odd man out. You're going with a bit of a price shot. 12-1 on the line. English Castle, Speedy Tight for Santana, and Horacio de Paz. We just talked about that combo. But what do you think they need to do to upset the finale at 12-1?
Yeah, I think Ricardo just has to send this horse out to the front, and then I'm hoping that's all that's needed. Last time out showed us some improvement, getting the blinkers on for that effort. Second off the bench for Horacio de Paz. This horse should improve and should jump on ahead. But I'm really hoping to see that market improvement here, and should just take him all the way. So I'm hoping this one gets out in front early. Has some back races that certainly fit here as well. So a consistent type maybe needs to take just a tick of a step forward, but I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility if Ricardo Santana can get this one to relax up front. Maybe they can get away with some slower fractions. And you see was DQ'd and placed third last time. There was a little bit of bumping, but I don't think that's going to affect her kind of moving forward in this spot.
Yeah, I don't think she's a bad alternative to some of the favorites like the 1 and the 4, just because their styles, or at least what we've seen from them, is kind of coming from way out of it. So it seems like if you're going to beat one of those two, it's going to be someone that is either on the lead or close to it. Jackson, you have got the 1 on top, as do I. I'm going to flat out say it. I like this 1 a lot. I don't think we're getting anywhere close to 9-2. I've been quite frustrated with Graham Motion as of late because his runners on Preakness Day and Black Eye Tuesday were just completely awful. And then he manages to win. There was a race at Churchill. Can't remember if it was this week or last week where there was a horse in a marathon race who hadn't won in like 3 years, and then she wired the field. Just really frustrating. But anyway, what did you like about Sir Oscar, who is a first-time gelding in here?
No, he seems pretty obvious, right? He's coming out of a live race at Tampa Bay Downs. It was pretty good. It was really productive. You'd see whatever else come back to do, and he tried to close into a slow pace, and he did so. I mean, he made it some ground into a slow pace. That also came against open company. Now he's dropping in to state-bred horses. First-time gelding, drawn really well. Looks like there's a lot of cheaperish speed in this race. It just feels like he's the one that's supposed to take another step forward in this spot. I think he might get around 9-2 though. I think that Chad horse is going to take a lot of money, as well the Clement horse. I mean, the Clement horse was 6-5 first time starter. last time. So that obviously some of the things that horse can run, and Chad is going to take money because it's Chad.
Yeah, I just think there are a lot of things to like. I do like this horse quite a bit. I think if I get 3-1 or better, I'm definitely placing win bet, as that is a little indicative of my plays later. But let's go ahead and talk about some others. You've got the 4 who I've gotten third. Who is the morning line favorite? Ryan, you got something to add?
I was just going to say, while we're on the topic of the 11, I just had a note because Jackson, you mentioned this horse is going to take money. Not in any of our top threes, it looks like. I mean, Chad Brown with state-bred maiden special weight runners and turf routes is 3 for 20. That's not great. Yes, this horse is bred to love turf top and bottom. The Dam is a very winning family, but first-time starters are 0 for 8. She didn't win on debut. She won her second start. So I think when a family is producing winners, yet they're not producing first-time starters, I think that says a lot. So I think this horse is going to be just wildly overbet, again, because of the connections and the breeding. But this is one I think you can definitely beat in your horizontals. And I think she's going to play a lot lower than 6-1 in the multis.
Yeah, Howard makes a good point. Like, if you're handicapping this race, I don't think you should be discouraged by, those Monmouth works, because he throws some firsters in there every once in a while, and he's definitely got a stable down in New Jersey. But there were just some others that I liked a little bit more and thought there was some upside. So didn't quite make the top 3, but if I'm playing a pick 5, I'm probably going to use this horse. But a little price dependent if I'm playing the race vertically. So let's go to some runners just to his inside. Jackson, I'm going to have you combine your second and third picks. Talk about the 10 Mission Hill at 8-1 for Pratt and Duggan, and then talk about the 9, the Saint, a first-time starter for Saffie Joseph.
Yeah, I guess we'll start with the 9. That first time out, very capable. Works been looking good. They paid a lot of money for this horse, for this New York bred. Only $5,000 stud fee. Paid $80,000 for it, and then they bother showing up. They could have just kept him at Gulfstream, but they bother bringing him out here to Belmont Week at Saratoga. They knew this would be a stronger than par main race, and they still brought him out here anyways. And they reach out to Jose Ortiz, who rides his track really well. So 15-1, I think, is kind of crazy to me. I would much prefer this horse than the 11.
Yeah, and then you've got the 10 in third. Who's coming off of the bench, almost a year layoff for Dave Duncan. So just talk about that one.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Another good turf horse. Pratt showing up, obviously, is noteworthy. This is a horse that has run really well off the bench, so I don't think that's going to be too big of a concern. And again, they reach out to Pratt. I mean, the horse must be doing something right in the morning, so I think he'll be okay. And he's got numbers that put him right there. He's another one that's 8-1, so I'll use him a little bit.
Brian, you've got him 2. You've got him third. So what'd you like about him? And then just anyone else that you want to touch on, maybe the 5 that I've got in the mix, who I'll touch on briefly, but just kind of give your overall picks in terms of underneath.
Yeah, this horse certainly fits off the numbers. Jackson mentioned has run well fresh in the past. In fact, that's where his best race came. First time since the barn transfer from Mott into Dave Duggan. But again, don't discount Dave Duggan in these New York restricted races. Especially during the week, he can certainly pop at some big numbers. You get Flavia and Pratt. They don't team up much, but when they do, they have some success. So this one has some tactical ability. So Pratt's going to have this one in the race. It's just going to be up to the horse at the top of the stretch to have the kick to get home. But I wouldn't be shocked if a horse like this won. And I think you'll get probably around that 8-1 price, because I think there's going to be some runners that are bet a little bit in here with the 1, the 4, and the 11. But I'm curious to hear your thoughts on the 4. This is one I gave a look to for sure, but I didn't end up having this one in my top 3.
Yeah, I was just kind of on the fence. He's kind of one that I don't want to play a win bet on, just because he was 6-5 last time and he's 5-2 here. He closed really nicely, but I don't know if that was the best maiden race I've ever seen. I don't know if that was the greatest group of New York breds I've ever seen. So I think I'm a little bit in the camp of use him in a pick 5 scenario, but not necessarily play him to win. And then the 5, I wanted to give one more chance off the bench for Barclay Tagg. Junior hops on, which I think is an upgrade, who was in some state bred races, but that was on dirt when he was a 2-year-old, moved over to the Tapeta and actually ran some decent races. He just kind of came with some wide runs, was in a decent race last time back in January. King of Ashes and Tomasello, I believe, just ran this past weekend in the Autobahn. King of Ashes was second, and then Tomasello was third. So some decent horses in front of him that day. He's had a bit of a freshening. He's been working well. He's got a 48-2 in his bag on May 25th. So wanted to give him one more shot, and I thought there were certainly some horses that would take money. The 1, the 4, the 11, who we talked about, the Chad Firster. I thought you'd get around that 6-1. So wanted to include him. and thought he was a little interesting. But we're going to go ahead and move on to best bets here.
Super quick. 12 Bomber will be on my tickets. Number 12. Super green last time. Try to close in a crawling pace. Some good things to like about that one.
Okay. Jackson's using the 12. Let's go back to you for your best bet. You are going with the double starting in race 8. You're going race 8, 8-1. I believe that is Sterling Silver into
the horse that can't win.
Yeah. Wait, that's a you want to talk about chalk? Whatever.
Yeah, I like Sterling Silver. I mean, you're gonna place it as a free square in there. Get an inflated win price on the horse in the next race because Sterling Silver should win that one. Hoping to get around 6-1 on that double into Silver Skillet. I just think Silver Skillet's her best races are just way better than everyone in that group, and her average races are still kind of just as good as everyone else in there. I think she's gonna trip out. We're gonna see much improved effort from the prep last time, and she's gonna win that race. And it's gonna be a chalky 8-1 double, but it'll pay 6-1, which is better than 3-1. So. Here's my double.
Yeah. Don't agree with the horse. Agree with the ticket structure. So good luck to you. Let's bring up Ryan's. Ryan is kind of the opposite end of the spectrum. He's going with the late pick 5 with 3 singles in the middle. We'll have to go back to Jackson for some ticket structure police. But he's going 5-8 with 9, with 8, with 5, with 1, 2, 10. That is a $30 ticket if you're pressing up and playing that for $5, Ryan.
Yeah, look, I'm obviously also going to play a straight pick 3, 9, 8, 5, and I'm going to press that up a bunch. But I thought for the pick 5, it made some sense to play it. I'm against 3 of the favorites in it. I think 2 of the favorites really can't lose. So I'm starting with the 5 and the 8. We went over that to cover. The 8 is the Mark Casse horse trying dirt for the first time from the outside. And the 5 is a horse that seems to really like Saratoga when she can get out on the lead. So I want to use those 2 at fair prices. Next up, we have Hush of a Storm with Flavien Prat, Brad Cox. Obviously going to be bet really heavily in the horizontals, but I don't think can lose that one. You have Sterling Silver, who is the free square in this sequence. And then the awesome Check, who you should get a middling price on, maybe between 3-1, 7-2, somewhere in there, I think would be more than fair to get on that runner. Beating the favorites in there with What Loves Looks Like, who I don't know what distance is best for her. We didn't really talk about it, but she's cutting back from being on the lead. I have no idea what her best distance is, but I'm going to try and beat her from that outside post. And then Silver Skillet, who knows what we're getting on that one? Who knows the kind of ride that we're getting? But is the best horse. If Pratt was on Silver Skillet, I'd look a lot higher on that horse. I would say something like that. But yeah, with Rosario, I can't necessarily trust how he's going to ride. And then the last race, I'll go 1, 2, 10. You're one likely. I don't know about likely to go off as the favorite with the money the 4 is going to take, but I thought the 2 English Castle made a lot of sense, and the 10 Mission Hill I think made some sense as well.
Yeah, no, I like it. I agree with a lot of the points that you make. Because I just think other than Sterling Silver, I think you can really poke some holes in some of these favorites as we kind of talked about, and I'm really hoping for a decent price on that horse in the last race, Sir Oscar, because I've got 2 win bets. The first one I actually didn't realize that race 7 is before, and that's the Sterling Silver race. So what I'd probably do is play the double like Jackson, where I'd go 8-5, and then you can get that inflated win price, as he likes to say. But the 5 is awesome. Check. Ryan and I talked about that one. Like that horse a lot, and think got a little compromised by the trip. So going to do at least a win bet, probably a double as well. And then fast forward to race 10, win on the number 1, Sir Oscar, hoping for at least 3-1 because I do like his chances a lot. So not to kind of tip my hat there, but really looking forward to the card on Saturday. I know, Jackson, you may have to go. You might have thrown something in the chat that you're actually good. Okay. So we can throw it to you with some final thoughts as you are starting to sweat in the car. So maybe we can wrap this up quick.
It's hot. I don't know. Really looking forward to this week. It should be a lot of good racing every single day, and hoping the weather cooperates, because that would be much better for.
The weather looks really.
What I'm looking for this week.
Yeah, I saw some rain maybe Friday, Saturday. I know Howard's gonna want to talk about that on his shows, but close us out, Ryan. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I get to get out to Saratoga, so I'll send you guys some pictures. Hopefully we can all get out there, later on in the year or something like that. But that should be a fun week. And then, I'll be back on Saturday. So the 3 of us and Kaylee Shapiro, along with a list of other guests, can go for the Belmont Stakes Saturday show that we'll host over on ABR. That's going to be a ton of fun. Matt Miller is going to join us. Howard, the boss man Funkel, is going to join us. It'll be a great show. We'll have Frank Scatoni on with us. PTF is a maybe. Depends on what this guy text me later on in the week.
In.
He's in. Okay,
yeah.
DTF is in. There we go. I wasn't sure. I forget if I ever confirmed that or not. But yeah, it's gonna be a loaded show. We're gonna have guests on every like 20 minutes or something. We'll be drinking, we'll be gambling, we'll be betting. It'll be fantastic. So be sure to tune into that. But other than that, great show. Can't wait for this. Wednesday card.
Said fantastic. Threw a fantastic in there. So had to. That water's got to be really warm.
Happy you caught it.
It's vodka.
Oh, it's got to be tea. They said it's vodka.
Right now, you close this out with a chug. How about a shotgun?
I'm good.
All right. That was a special episode of Pacific Horseplayers right here on the HHH Racing Podcast. Check out Ryan's show on Saturday and all of our shows this week. Just getting things kicked off here. We got a lot of great content coming your way, so go check that out. But that's going to wrap things up for us, for Jackson, for Ryan. This has been your host, Noah, in a special episode of Pacific Horseplayers. And, of course, PHP out.